You around, pointing to her ring finger and taunting you?
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands.
The WNBA has become a stage for fierce competition, intense rivalries, and unforgettable performances. One of the most electrifying storylines in recent memory revolves around two of its brightest stars, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. These two players have become synonymous with the rising power of women's basketball, but a recent showdown left fans and analysts alike buzzing with opinions about their contrasting performances. What began as a clash between two rising stars quickly turned into a one-sided spectacle, as Clark, the undisputed superstar, dominated the game in a way that left Reese and her team scrambling to keep up. The aftermath of this game has set the stage for an ongoing rivalry, and it's safe to say the WNBA may never be the same again. Caitlin Clark, widely hailed as one of the most gifted players in the history of women's basketball, has spent the season cementing her legacy. Known for her deep three-point shooting, court vision, and unshakable confidence, Clark's performance in this particular game felt like something out of a video game. She displayed her ability to take over a game from the moment the ball tipped off, leaving her opponents reeling. Not only did she drop an astonishing 42 points, but she also added 8 rebounds and 7 assists to her stat line, proving once again why she is an elite talent. Her range was unthinkable, draining shots from virtually anywhere on the court. At one point, she made 4 consecutive three-pointers, including a circus shot from near half court, sending fans into a frenzy. She wasn't just scoring, she was orchestrating the offense with the precision of a seasoned point guard. Every possession Clark touched seemed to turn into something special. Reese, on the other hand, had a much quieter night. Known for her fiery personality and bold swagger, she struggled to find her rhythm. The game highlighted a clear contrast in their playing styles and their ability to rise under pressure. Reese, who has been celebrated for her aggressive post-play and rebounding, had a lackluster outing, finishing with just 11 points on 4 of 15 shooting. Her performance was a far cry from the dominant displays we've seen from her in the past. It wasn't just her scoring that was off. She was visibly frustrated throughout the game, missing easy layups and struggling to get into a rhythm. For a player who has often thrived in high-pressure moments, Reese looked out of her depth as Clark took control. As the game progressed, the statistical differences between the two became more glaring. Clark's team shot an impressive 50% from the field, while Reese's squad managed only a dismal 38%. Clark's team also dominated in the rebounding battle, securing 12 more boards than their opponents. The turnovers were another key factor, with Reese's team giving the ball away 15 times compared to just 8 for Clark's. This wasn't just a game, it was a statistical massacre. For a player like Reese, who is known for her defensive abilities and ability to crash the boards, it was a humbling reminder that Clark is playing in a league of her own right now. The game wasn't just about the numbers, though. Clark's leadership and ability to control the flow of the game was what set her apart. Even when her team was trailing early on, Clark took charge, orchestrating a 15-2 run that flipped the momentum and effectively sealed the game. Her energy was infectious, and it was clear from the second quarter onward that the game belonged to her. While Clark was making highlight reel plays on offense, she was also doing the little things that made her even more dangerous. Her court vision was elite, and her no-look passes were as smooth as they were effective. She wasn't just scoring, she was making everyone around her better. Reese, in contrast, was left to pick up the pieces. As one of the most celebrated players in women's college basketball, she had the opportunity to prove herself against Clark on the biggest stage. Instead, she found herself neutralized by a defensive scheme that consistently forced her into tough, contested shots. It wasn't just her offense that suffered, her defense, too, was exploited, as Clark made her presence felt in nearly every aspect of the game. Despite her best efforts, Reese never found the dominance she's been known for. Her frustration was palpable, and at times she looked like a player lost in the moment, unable to match Clark's intensity. The aftermath of the game only added fuel to the fire. On social media, the narrative quickly turned into a heated debate between fans of the two players. Hashtags like #ClarkReese and #CaitlinCooks trended for hours, as fans dissected every aspect of the game. Analysts were quick to point out the obvious. Clark had outplayed Reese in every conceivable way. Some even went so far as to suggest that Clark had solidified herself as the best player in women's basketball, while others questioned whether Reese had what it takes to rise to Clark's level. Adding to the drama, former WNBA players chimed in with their takes on the rivalry. Sue Bird, one of the greatest to ever play the game, called Clark a cheat code, while Diana Taurasi poked fun at Reese, joking that she might need to work on her defensive drills. It wasn't just the fans and analysts who took notice, even current players were weighing in. This wasn't just a game, it had become the ultimate test of these two rising stars. Despite the overwhelming spotlight on Clark, Reese was quick to defend herself. After the game, she took to social media to remind her followers that she was still one of the best at what she does, and that this one game wouldn't define her. Confidence is great, but delusion isn't so much, some analysts noted. Reese's refusal to admit that Clark had simply outplayed her fueled further debates. While Reese's confidence is one of her defining traits, some felt it bordered on arrogance as she deflected blame for her poor performance. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark seemed to embrace her role as the villain. She understood the weight of her performance, not just in terms of her team's victory, but in terms of how it impacted the narrative around women's basketball. Clark's persona has become one of unwavering confidence, and she's not afraid to wear it. After draining a particularly audacious three-pointer, she looked directly at Reese with a long, pointed stare, a silent declaration that the court belonged to her. The internet exploded with memes and reactions, with many fans hailing Clark's performance as one of the greatest individual showings in recent memory. As the WNBA prepares for the future, it's clear that this rivalry is far from over. Reese, despite the loss, remains a talented player with a bright future ahead of her. However, it's clear that Clark is currently operating on a different level. Her ability to dominate in all facets of the game, her leadership, and her unshakable confidence make her the player to watch in the coming years. Fans are already debating whether Clark should be considered the greatest college player of all time, and with her current trajectory, it's hard to argue against that sentiment. For Reese, this game represents a crossroads. She will have to prove that she can rise to the occasion when faced with a player like Clark. In the past, she has shown she's capable of bouncing back from adversity, but whether she can match Clark's level of play remains to be seen. The pressure is mounting for Reese to respond, and the next time these two meet, the stakes will be even higher. One thing is for sure, the rivalry between Clark and Reese is only just beginning. Ultimately, the WNBA needs players like Clark and Reese players who can create rivalries, ignite debates, and captivate audiences. This game wasn't just about basketball, it was a microcosm of what the league's future could look like. As fans, we live for moments like this where stars collide, rivalries heat up, and history is made. Whether you love her or hate her, Caitlin Clark has arrived as the face of women's basketball. As for Angel Reese, she has the chance to rewrite her narrative, but she'll need to rise to the challenge. The stage is set, and the spotlight is brighter than ever.